Hello, my name is Gary Swan, and this is my final business proposal for Washington State University's OMBA program. I had the fortunate opportunity to work with Lincoln Hospital to help them develop a rural home health services program for the residents of Lincoln County. So let's first talk a little bit about what rural healthcare is. Lincoln Hospital is what we call a critical access hospital, which means that they're a small facility that gives limited outpatient and inpatient hospital services to people in rural areas. So Lincoln County has a population of about 10,000 people and a square footage of about 2,600. So this means that the population density is about 4.5 people per square mile. In contrast, the nearest urban area, Spokane, has a population density of about 3,500 people per square mile. So Lincoln County is geographically dispersed. So this makes the delivery of healthcare incredibly expensive and incredibly difficult. Lincoln Hospital was founded in 1961 from a grassroots movement, and their long-term care facility was opened in 1970. Unfortunately, due to substantial operating losses, on May 23 of 2012, Lincoln Hospital was forced to terminate those services, which meant that those residents had to seek nursing care facilities in the surrounding region, approximately an hour drive away from Davenport in Lincoln County. This also means that there literally is no other services, nursing care services for the elderly, adult vulnerable population in the county. Home health services, which is services literally delivered in the home, are proven to be incredibly difficult and expensive for the region, and in the past have proven to be inconsistent. So the impetus of this program is to really fill that void of services and create kind of a stopgap between the time that the patient absolutely has to be in a nursing home facility and can remain in the home. So the program is all directed under the care of the primary care physician, which means that the primary care physician is the one that determines the need and determines the level of services needed for that patient to remain safe in the home. And it consists of three main components: visiting nursing services, support chore services, and remote monitoring technologies. So visiting nursing care services will be conducted through a remote means, through the remote monitoring technologies. So this brings the nursing care into the home at an incredibly lower cost structure. And in the past, in trials, it's been proven that these services can provide the same level quality of care as in-person services. Support chore services are those services that ensure a safe living environment. They can provide companion services, provide travel, and clean the home, other services as needed. Remote monitoring technologies come in two forms. So the first form is passive monitoring. So passive monitoring enables longitudinal care of the patient. So what this means is that the patient can take their own blood pressure, can take surveys as recommended by the doctor, and that data can be compiled and reviewed by the physician and enables him to direct care over the long period of time. Now, the other version of monitoring, or the other necessary component of monitoring, is active monitoring. Now, this ensures safety in the home. So it includes a personal emergency response system, monitors the oven to see if there's temperature warnings, has motion sensors in the home to determine if the patient is actually up and moving about the home. And all of these services, the monitoring services, can establish thresholds by which, if something doesn't occur or doesn't occur as needed, sets an alarm and brings in the appropriate personnel. So essentially, the remote monitoring component encapsulates all other components of the program and makes it functionally viable. So the real value of this service is twofold. On an industry level, the cost structure of traditional nursing home care is simply unsustainable. By physically taking the patient out of their home and putting them into a facility, there's just too much overhead to make that financially viable in the long run. It is important to note on a rural healthcare basis, a lot of the nursing care facilities are going out of business on a reimbursement basis. So essentially, Medicare and Medicaid are the primary services, are the reimbursement methods provided. And to stay financially viable, the facilities need to have a certain level or portion of services provided reimbursed by private insurance or on a private pay basis. So essentially, Medicare and Medicaid are on a cost basis, which means that at maximum potential, the facility can only receive what they put out in cost. So in a rural healthcare basis, it's becoming incredibly difficult to remain financially viable. The value here is that we can cut that cost structure significantly by providing remote services. This will increase our capacity and allow the same level of service to be delivered at a fraction of the cost. On a personal basis, to the patient, the services give the elderly population empowerment on top of improving health quality outcomes and quality of life. Now, in a recent study, it was noted that 20% of health factors which determine health outcomes, which meaning length of life and quality of life, are determined by a clinical basis. The other 80% are factors determined by health behaviors and socioeconomic factors. So really, what we're doing is trying to create a program that is person-centric, that supports the patient wholly in the home and not just looks at that single clinical aspect. So traditionally in the past, or what we currently have in the industry, is a siloed approach to healthcare, meaning fee for service. So you go into the doctor and you see them for a certain type of service. The doctor bills the insurance company for that service and receives reimbursement on a percentage basis. The remainder is usually deferred to the patient. Now, what we're heading towards is a value-based type service system where quality outcomes are primary as opposed to services. So at present, we go in on an instance basis. In the future, we're going to be looking at the whole of the patient and trying to keep them out of the hospital and healthy. So one example of that is a shared savings program. So in this model, the providers group together and coordinate care to lower their cost structure. Now, for each patient that they have in that pool, they receive a level of reimbursement. So if their cost structure comes in that level, under that level of reimbursement, they create a region of savings. So the potential to generate revenue is still there, but the impetus is on quality of care and keeping the patient healthy. And this model really ports well from the siloed approach to emerging trends in the industry. So who makes the decision for long-term care? Now, essentially, our target market is the adult vulnerable who need support in the home or need a little bit of extra support. And those people that generally make those decisions for when their loved ones go into a nursing home is the family. So a lot of this is incorporating the family into the health care of their loved ones and putting the patient themselves in charge of their health care. Looking at Lincoln County, their market, their population is aging. So essentially about a third of their population is age 60 or over. And half of that population is age 60 to 69, which means that there's going to be growing demand for services in the county, and gives all the more reason for these services. Now, in conversations with people of the community, there's a great demand and a great interest in these home health services. So the market potential, looking at census data and comparing the health of Lincoln County with the health of Washington State, and on a percentage basis, looking at those residents in nursing homes, we get a potential market of about 112 to about 150 people who need the services currently. Now, the part of the impetus of this proposal is not just to provide services for those people who need it now, but to incorporate those people who need the services or will need the services in the near future. So the market really is incredibly large considering the population of the county, and has far-reaching impacts beyond just Lincoln County. Has far-reaching impacts for rural healthcare. Now, of that population, about half of the population is outside of what we call urban areas, or outside of the cities within Lincoln County. So really the value here we're looking at is the ease of delivery of service, meaning that we don't necessarily have to travel to the home to deliver healthcare and get the same quality outcomes. On a marketing basis, the market will be established by current population, by current people within the community who use Lincoln Hospital and recommended through their physician. So this service is really going to be directed by the physician. In support of that, we're going to have a web page so that the families can research and vet the services. Now, incorporating those opinion leaders within the community during the development phase will be essential to creating a positive atmosphere. And alongside this, we think it's prudent to develop a committee, as the Lincoln Hospital is publicly funded, alongside the board of directors to express concerns and improve services for this program. Now, the cost of care for services right now, as you can see, Medicaid expense comes in at about $60,000 or $70,000. Semi-private rooms, so this is on top of what Medicaid reimburses, is about another $30,000. For generic services of this program, which would include longitudinal monitoring, safety monitoring, remote visiting nursing services, and remote chore services, comes in at about $30,000. So it comes in at about half the cost of what Medicaid reimburses currently. So the impetus there is to push the program forward on a reimbursement basis. Looking towards Lincoln Hospital, their main component is just going to consist of delivering the primary care physician, coordinating care, and delivering visiting nursing services. All the other components of the program will be delivered by third-party vendors, and associated responsibilities deferred to them. So really, there's little investment for Lincoln Hospital, and they're incredibly liquid. So the value for them is there to invest. Should something turn awry, the potential for them to pull out is incredibly easy. So this is my brief summary of my business proposal for Lincoln Hospital and for remote chore services or remote care services in the home. So thank you very much. Bye.